I'm coming up on 10 years of being a practicing doctor, and I've had some incredible patient encounters, wildest patient encounters, weird patient encounters. So I thought I'd share a few of them right now. Let's get started. Be whoop.
In this case, the creator introduces himself, outlines a little bit what the video is about. That's okay. But what I see a lot of creators do is I see them stalling, actually getting into the content of the video. He explains what he's going to do and he's in the content of the video within 14 seconds. The longer that you keep viewers waiting until you get into the content of the video, the more likely they are to click away. And the more viewers that click away in the beginning of the video, the less viewers that are reaching the end of your video. And you want them to reach the end of the video because you want them to watch another video after that, and another video, and another video, and another video after that. Because there's nothing that the algorithm likes more than viewers watching video after video after video after video.
And this happened actually when I was a student and I was rotating at this medical facility. And I walk into the room and I'm like, what's going on? You guys are pretty banged up. And they said, well, we were involved in a car accident.
Did you see what the editor did? It's a talking head video, first of all, but to make it more interesting for viewers to watch, there is some B-roll over that. So there is a pattern interrupt that keeps viewers' attention in the video. And after the B-roll, there's a small zoom in the video. Also, that makes the image more interesting to watch.
And actually fell asleep.
Again,
and
B-roll.
ended up crashing the car at a very high rate of speed. They said, well, we think we're okay.
Again, zoom.
And we kind of went to the local hospital where we crashed. It was somewhere down south.
Do you notice that it's
felt
still
like
zooming?
they didn't do a full evaluation that we thought was satisfactory, so we came here. And I see
text,
that
again, pattern
the male
interrupt.
patient has a fractured clavicle. The female patient has a broken humerus.
Again, there's an animation on the screen. Also, that makes it more interesting. And also, do you notice the swoosh sound effect when the zoom in happens?
Abdominal CAT scans. But the one thing that wasn't there, which shocked me, was a head CAT scan. So I go back into the precepting room, which is where you talk to all the senior doctors. And I said, look, let me dig into this case. I really looked.
The shots where you actually see his head in the video is really small. It's just a couple of seconds. And for that pattern interrupt to happen, after a couple of seconds, B-roll. After a couple of seconds, text.
I looked at all the records, the intake forms, and I see that the female patient is on Plavix. That's a blood thinning medication. She's on a blood thinning medication. Just got it.
It's a really good idea to show everything that you're talking about, so viewers know, oh, that's what he's talking about. And in this case, that's a medicine.
Into an accident at a high rate of speed and did not get a CAT scan. This is definitely wrong. I present the case to my attending. My attending as a family medicine doctor firmly agrees, says, I cannot believe, is outraged, said we're absolutely got to get them to the ER. The next day, I come into work and I'm so curious to see what has happened. I open the medical record to see what happened with this case, and I see that those patients left against medical advice.
What also helps to keep viewers' attention is to blend in the text that you're talking about. Notice that there is also background music here. Also, that makes a video less boring to watch.
Meaning that they signed a form saying that I don't want to be here, that I'm leaving before the doctor has cleared me to leave. The ER doctor said that the family medicine doctor doesn't know what they're talking about. You're fine now. It's been over 24 hours since your car accident. Because you're not showing any symptoms, there's no use to getting a CAT scan, and that you're going to be fine. And I'm like, look, this is gonna sound really annoying, but I think you should go back to the ER. They're like, well, look, can we talk to your senior physician? I'm like, he's not here today, but as the med student, I'm telling you, you really should go to the ER because you're on blood thinners. Your husband wasn't in great shape either. I really think both of you need to get scanned. And because I have another attending physician that's here right now in the hospital, we can meet you and get you scanned, even if the ER doctor this time says no. The female patient has actually been admitted into the neuro ICU because it turned out that after getting the CAT scan, she was actually having a very slow bleed into her brain as a result of being.
Again, maybe viewers have problem visualizing what is going on in the head of the patient, and this animation helps to show what is going on. And it helps the viewer to visualize this is extremely serious.
Had to do an emergency craniotomy, which is with them opening up the skull and relieving the pressure. And had they not done that, she could have died.
I'll continue the video in a minute, but let's take a look at the thumbnail first. Because a lot of creators tend to overcomplicate a thumbnail. In this case, there are two elements in the thumbnail. The first element is the text here, and the second element is Dr. Mike here. Generally speaking, faces and thumbnails work really well because viewers can connect to human faces. Viewers want to see humans in a video. It also helps to recognize the creator of the video. So if viewers see the face of the creator, they know, oh, that's a video of that guy. Let's watch that video. When you come across a thumbnail on YouTube Home, for example, YouTube viewers have 20 other videos to choose from. And they don't take the time and effort to interpret a title or a thumbnail. So make your thumbnail as simple as possible so viewers can interpret that thumbnail really quickly. And the same for the title, by the way. Make your title short and punchy. And one of the reasons that this thumbnail is really easy to understand is because of the clear separation of the objects. And one of the ways that you can do this is by using a white outline around an object. Also notice that there is a clear separation between back and foreground because of the brightness. This subject is really bright and the background is really dark. Also notice that the thumbnail maker has made a really big difference between the colors in the thumbnail. The letters here are yellow, but the shirt here is blue, and yellow and blue are one of the primary colors. And those are on the opposite side of the color wheel. Colors on the opposite side of the color wheel makes a thumbnail pop. And thumbnails that pop on YouTube Home generally get the attention of the viewer first. With your viewer, you want to trigger the emotion of, I need to watch that. The fear of missing out works really well for thumbnails. When you see a thumbnail like this, you see Dr. Mike. Let's assume that you watched some of Dr. Mike's videos. And you see Dr. Mike here and the text oops. You want to know what is oops. So you want to watch that video. The title completes the story of the thumbnail, my wildest patient encounters. So you know what is going to happen in the video. So the oops got your attention. The title explains further. There is a clear video structure here. And notice that the title of this video is my wildest patient encounters. In other words, the title implies that there are multiple encounters, that you are going to hear multiple stories. So viewers know what they're getting into. If viewers know what they're getting into, they watch a video longer. And one of the reasons that the YouTube algorithm promotes videos is because viewers stay around longer on your video than all the videos of the competition. I'll teach you step by step how to make thumbnails that get 1 million plus views in my Thumbnail Secrets video training. In the training is also a test to see if videos even can get views on YouTube. The link with discount code is in the description below.
What I like to do before I start my hours is actually look through who's on my schedule, look through what's going on in their medical history to make sure I'm not missing anything when I walk into the room. And I saw on my schedule at the end of the day was a young patient, a young girl that was coming in for like a sore throat. So I didn't think anything of it. When I look later in the day, that patient switched to a different patient, a male patient with a very similar name. When I walked into the room, I right away got a little bit of a strange sense that something else was going on because the patient was acting a little bit reserved. So I said, let's investigate. I introduced myself, I started asking the questions, and the patient abruptly shifts the conversation and says, Doctor, I have to admit the real reason I'm here. I'm aware that your mom has passed. And I'm like thinking, where is this possibly gonna go? Well, I'm here because I actually have a message from her to you, and I think it's really important that I share it. And at this moment, I'm really confused because I don't know what to do.
The reason that this works is because it's a story. It's a story with a beginning, a middle, and an end. The beginning is setting out what is happening. I was in the hospital one day, then a patient came in. So this is the build-up for the story. The hurdle or the problem of this story is the doctor getting to hear that his mom has a message for him. Now you're curious, okay, but how did he react? In other words, how did he solve the problem of a patient coming in telling him this? The reason why stories like this are important is because if there is a story structure in a video, then viewers stick around because they want to know the answer. This video has multiple patient encounters, so there are multiple stories in this YouTube video. Let's see how this problem is resolved.
I don't know exactly what my next steps should be, so I kind of gathered myself and I said, I appreciate you doing that, but I am here working and I have to take care of patients who are having illness and need my help, while I'm appreciative of the message, I'm not interested and I have to move on to the next patient. I hope that's okay with you. And to my surprise, the patient was, that's perfectly fine. I'm okay with you doing that, but I just want to say that I needed to get that off my chest and share that with you. This totally threw me. But we moved on and we kept taking care of other patients. I actually have a patient who I've been...
The problem is resolved, so there is no need for viewers to watch the rest of the video. So in this case, the problem is resolved and the doctor moves directly to the next story, which is really smart. This video contains multiple stories, but when the story would have been just one YouTube video, just cut the video short. Don't say goodbye, for example, in a video, or wrapping things up. Don't let your viewers know that your video is over. You want to get them to the next video on your channel. And you can only do that when they are still around in the video, because viewers will click away.
Taken care of for many years, who happens to be a doctor. And we start talking about their health. They tell me that everything is in normal working order. They don't smoke, they drink socially, very rare drug use. They are...
In this case, this video doesn't have any chapters, but I think it could have benefited the video very well. Generally speaking, chapters allow viewers to skip ahead in the video, but also rewind parts of the video. There are arguments to be made that it hurts your audience retention, but on the other hand, your viewer satisfaction probably will go up. And one of the most important things that the YouTube algorithm looks at is viewer satisfaction. If they can find the information that they want, and in this case, those are a couple of stories in a video, then they are much more satisfied with the video. That's why I also have chapters in this video.
Sexually active, intermittent protection. This is a male patient, by the way. Look at the lab work and I see that it's all looking good. And then something happens which I really wasn't prepared for. I see that the HIV 4th generation test flagged positive. First of all, it's fairly accurate. There's not many instances where this test is inaccurate. And they had a very big reaction, tears. And I understood why tears were coming. They were very worried. They didn't know what was going on. They weren't sure if this was a sexual exposure, or if this is a patient exposure. When I talked to them, I said, okay, look, this is a test that needs to reflex to other tests. And it's likely that those tests are still pending. So let's wait for those tests to come back.
Also for this story, there is an outline here. So that's the beginning of the story. And that outline is there's a patient coming in. That patient is a doctor himself. Now the problem is introduced of that story, and that patient is flagged positive on a HIV test. Now, as viewers, we expect to see a solution because this video is about weird patient encounters, we are expecting a solution. We are expecting the end result of this story. And by the way, the solution can be a positive solution, but it can also be a negative solution. And a good solution gives us a positive emotional feeling, and a bad solution, a bad feeling. And that's the other reason why stories and videos work really well, because it lets us feel something as a viewer. And it lets us connect to, in this case, the doctor, because in our eyes, Dr. Mike is a little bit of a hero figure. He's the main character of these videos. So we want to hear him doing good deeds. So as a viewer, I'm going to associate his videos with that positive feeling. In other words, that makes me return to his videos and watch more of his videos, which the algorithm really likes.
Then allows us to understand what type of virus this is. And again, we're talking about human immunodeficiency virus, which if untreated can progress to AIDS. They obviously were very emotional about it. I said, look, go home. I should have the results by the end of the day. I'll call you at the end of my work shift. I see that the rest of the tests are all negative. I, in my history of being a doctor, have never really seen a false positive for this 4th generation HIV test. In this instance, I said, before I call the patient back, I probably should do some really thorough research to give them answers.
Okay, this is the buildup of the story. The mystery gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And now the resolution of the problem comes.
Answers why this was a false positive. So I pull up UpToDate, which is one of our most used resources as family medicine doctors, which we use as a reference tool. And the thing tells me that the HIV 4th generation test, which has changed since my education, which was the 3rd generation test, now can flag false positive in some very specific instances. 1 is pregnancy. 2, if they are taking HIV medications.
He takes us through his thought process. So As a viewer, we can step into his body and experience a little bit what it is to be a doctor and to be hunting for a solution. That's why detectives, for example, on television works really well.
3 is if they have an autoimmune disorder. And then came number 4, if they've recently received a flu vaccination. Apparently, and this is something that I even learned in that moment, there is evidence that when a patient receives a flu vaccine, that they actually develop some antibodies that react with this agent on the 4th generation HIV test, which can make it come up positive. But then if you check,
this is the solution of the problem, and he explains a little bit what that resolution is.
check the rest of the tests, they will all come up negative. And knowing that this patient of mine is a healthcare provider, knowing that I can look into the record and see when they had their flu shot, 5 weeks before they had their flu shot, and there we go, we had my answer. So I called the patient back, told the patient good news. They obviously requested to be retested just to make sure. We rechecked in a few weeks, and everything was totally negative at that time. I actually had a patient with foot pain that got way worse, way more of a complicated case. Click here to check that out, and as always, stay happy and healthy.
Okay, this is really smart what he does with his end screen, because he introduces a new problem that you want to have resolved. He introduces a new weird thing that you want to know. So you want to click on that next video. And that's exactly what is the point here. Watch as many videos on YouTube as possible, because that's what the algorithm likes. And Dr. Mike has over 10 million subscribers on his YouTube channel, but subscribers don't matter that much. I'll explain in this video exactly why. And did you notice what I did there? I introduced a new problem, and now I give you the opportunity to move your mouse cursor and click on this video right here.